Do you know it costs about £500 or over £500 for this paint job? Don't know. Deep Impact Blue. Like the film with Elijah Wood. Elijah Wood Blue. Frodo Blue.
Orlando Blue.
Orlando Blue. If you don't quite fancy the running costs or the speeding fines that go along with the Focus RS, then you might want to consider the Focus ST, a slightly tamer version of Ford's Halo Focus, a hot hatch that claims to be a bit easier to live with. But unlike some hot hatches, this one is available as a petrol and a diesel. Now both models get the same sports makeup and accessories. There's a beefier bonnet, grille, side skirts and spoiler, but our model's actually got the optional style pack. Now that adds larger 19-inch wheels, some rear privacy glass and some very nice red brake calipers, and I think they put a nice little edge to it. Now the diesel is a few £100s cheaper. It's also considerably less powerful, but it does offer better fuel economy. But the big question is, can a diesel hot hatch offer the same levels of excitement as a petrol? So the interior of the ST is a very nice place to be. I mean, this ST3 model we've got ticks quite a few boxes. We've got these comfortable Recaro bucket seats, which are finished in leather and heated. We've also got some ST touches like this gear shifter and flat bottom steering wheel. There's also some creature comforts like dual zone climate control, rear parking sensors, and we've got this optional Sync 2 infotainment system which comes with DAB and sat-nav. This is actually an optional £300, but I think that's pretty good value for money. And build quality in here is really good as well. I mean, it's not quite to Golf standards, but even the cheaper looking stuff is, well, it's quite high quality. And being true to its hot hatch name, Practicality up front is pretty good too. We've got good sized door bins, we've got a really good sized glove box. There's some nice cubbies where you can put your change or your car keys or anything like that. And my favourite feature is this cup holder here, because it's not just any old cup holder. See how that's not very deep? Well, you can adjust that. Hello, get out of town. How cool is that? I think it's cool anyway. Now space in these rear seats is good all round. You've got plenty of headroom and you've got loads of legroom, and thankfully these Recaro seats aren't too chunky, so knee room is good. And I actually like the few cubbies you've got dotted around. I mean, the door bins aren't massive, but it makes up for it by having a little storage compartment here, here and in the center console. Now unfortunately these rear seats don't fold down completely flat, but thankfully this boot, which is got a nice wide opening and a very usable 316 litres of storage space, does make up for that a bit. Unfortunately, the boot's not as big as a Volkswagen Golf or a Skoda Octavia or a Seat Leon, but 316 litres is, well, still a pretty handy and usable size. So before we talk about the engines, I just want to talk about how the ST drives. Well, it's certainly worthy of wearing that ST badge. There's no limited slip diff to speak of, but thanks to the sporty suspension, the likes of torque vectoring control and cornering understeer control, it feels extra sticky in the corners. And yeah, the body control in the ST is just excellent. Body roll? Ha! But even though composure is brilliant in the corners, the ST feels really comfortable. I mean, it can feel a little unsettled over quite a few little bumps in quick succession, but overall, you could easily mistake it for a standard Focus. The steering's piano wire sharp too, a little too sharp at first actually. I mean, reach across to adjust the touchscreen or adjust one's undercarriage, and the slight movement of that can send you into a bit of a wobble with the steering. I mean, the sharp steering's great for intense cornering, but yeah, it does take a bit of getting used to. And even though it is really sharp, the steering still lacks a bit of feedback. You don't really feel that connected to where the front wheels are pointing. But still, the ST's got so much acuity about it, you can forgive things like that. But what's the diesel like? Well, it's a 2-litre unit with 182 brake horsepower. That's 64 brake horsepower less than the petrol. It also takes 8.1 seconds to get to 62 miles per hour. That's 1.6 seconds slower than the petrol. However, it does have more torque. There's 400 newton meters available, which is 40 newton meters more than the petrol. And the first thing you'll notice with the diesel is how it performs in the low revs. I mean, it does take a while to get going, but once you open that pocket of torque and you access that power, it feels just as flexible as a petrol. I mean, it accelerates smooth like a petrol. It even sounds a bit like a petrol. But the most important thing about this diesel is that it does feel fast and it does feel sporty. If a petrol hot hatch is a nippy MMA fighter, then I guess a diesel hot hatch is a bit like a heavyweight boxer. Sure, it takes longer to swing a punch, but once that punch lands, it's just as effective, if not slightly more effective, due to that extra bit of torque. So why sacrifice a quicker sprint time? Well, because with the diesel, you're looking at around 60 miles per gallon on the motorway, and if you drive sensibly, 40 to 45 miles per gallon around town. From a hot hatch, that's quite a bit different to the petrol model, where you're looking at around 25 to 40 max. But the ST diesel and the ST petrol are great cars in their own right. The petrol will favour those who are after out and out performance, whereas the diesel will appeal to those who are after something a bit more sensible. And actually, I think if you're going to go for the ST diesel, you might as well just go for the estate. Then you get better fuel economy and enhanced practicality. But if you'd like to watch a video of one of the ST's rivals, then you can click the link at the top of the screen now. If you'd like to browse prices for an ST diesel, then click the link in the bottom left of the screen. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel already, then click the link to do so on screen now.